Question 12, sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir, under the Paris Agreement, Singapore has pledged to reduce our emissions intensity by 36% from 2005 levels by 2030, and to stabilize our emissions with the aim of peaking around the same time. A lower emissions intensity means that each dollar of GDP will be achieved more efficiently and with a lower impact to the environment. Under the Jurong Island version 2.0 initiative, Singapore explored alternative feedstock options to enhance the long-term competitiveness of the energy and chemical sector while keeping to our climate change commitments and ensuring environmental concerns were addressed. After extensive evaluation, gasification was assessed to best meet industry's demand for competitive hydrogen and carbon monoxide as feedstock. To minimize the impact on the environment, the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources has worked together with the Economic Development Board and the plant operator to put in place strict regulations and standards on emissions of carbon dioxide and air pollutants, as well as to deploy best-in-class mitigation technologies. The plant's emissions will also be closely monitored to minimize the impact on the environment, and the plant will be subject to the carbon tax that was announced in Budget 2017. With 2018 designated as the year of climate action, the government will increase efforts to raise awareness and increase involvement of companies and individuals on the necessity and the benefits of taking action to achieve sustainable growth and move towards a low-carbon future.
I thank the Minister for the reply. I have two supplementary questions. One is, how will the substantive amount of ash be disposed of, specifically the fly ash, as this is known to be hazardous? And second, which is an important one, I think, is how do we reconcile the different message we're sending to the public now? On one hand, we're saying it's the year of climate action to reduce our carbon footprint, but on the other hand, we are opening up this coal gasification plant which will increase our carbon footprint.
In granting the license to the operator, MEWR has set very strict conditions on the disposal of the ash. In particular, that it will not add to the dumping requirements that we have. So I think the company will meet those regulations. On reconciling the two, I think this is the delicate balance that we have to try to achieve. On the one hand, we have a fairly thriving chemicals and energy sector, contributing 1.8% of our GDP, employing more than 25,000 workers, all very good jobs. We have to maintain the competitiveness of that sector, and for that we need competitive feedstock, hydrogen and carbon monoxide. We have explored the different ways of introducing that feedstock, and gasification appears to be the most sensible approach. At the same time, we have made very strong commitments on the Paris Agreement, and the Singapore government intend to meet those commitments. So in balancing the two, we have reached an agreement with the operator on the regulations that they have to meet, both in carbon dioxide emissions as well as in other standards, and they have agreed to deploy best-in-class technologies.
Mr. Louis Ng.
But could I check actually, so where will the ash be disposed of? And the second is whether we considered renewable energy instead. Minister Ong has replied to the earlier PQ about how that is a growing sector, and whether MTI actually considered that instead of this coal gasification plant.
The company has made commitments to recycle the ash, and for the renewable energy, the gasification project is not an energy project, it's not a GENCO. It is to produce hydrogen and carbon monoxide, or essentially carbon. Because as feedstock to the petrochemical sector, you need more C2, more C, and more H2. And to do that, you need to convert coal into this hydrogen and carbon monoxide. Because we are not adding on to refineries in Singapore, we have 1.3 million barrels of refining capacity, and that's not changed for many decades. And so we need additional feedstock, and therefore we have looked towards gasification of coal. So I want to assure members here that in terms of energy generation, we are still depending on gas, which is the most or the least pollutive of all, and of course supplemented by solar energy in a limited way. So this is not a GENCO.